Hey ratbags, it's Jade. Today, Nightingale preview, I'm giving you a heads up on the towers, Fey towers and the dungeons you'll be encountering in the realms, what kind of rewards you're going to get and what challenges you will face. There's so many different varieties and I'm going to give you a brief rundown of what to expect so that you can get hold of some goodies. And speaking of some goodies, they've just announced that Twitch drops are going to be coming. Nightingale is going to be partaking in this. So I plan to reboot my Twitch channel, which I've been on and off over the last few years, but with me absolutely going to be streaming Nightingale a lot more in the coming months. I'm going to be on there a lot more too. So do make sure you come and watch me to earn your Twitch drops. You'll find the link in the comment section down below, or just look twitch.tv/JADE-PLAYS-GAMES. That's what the PG stands for. The Twitch drops begin at 12 PM EDT time, 9 AM PDT time. I'll be going live an hour before then to do a question and answer session about everything to do with Nightingale. So do give me a follow, come and join me for the hour before, and obviously watch me go and play the game fresh for you guys, or maybe with my developed character that I've got running right now. I'll leave it up to you on the day. So back to the actual video at hand. We're taking a look at dungeons, yes, explaining how they all work, the differences between these mini dungeons and the vaults that you'll come into contact with much later in the game. So I've shown off this starter one a bunch of times, but basically you'll go down through the ruins, take care of a bunch of bound and face off against a mini little boss at the end. It's effectively a bigger boy version of some of the Ottoman knights you'll face off against in the desert. Some plant these little modules around them, protecting them when they explode if you go over them. Others are more focused on just attacking you with their great big sword. These ones, their weak point is that orb that they carry in the middle there. Doing this solo, a lot of your success is going to be hiding behind pillars and also making sure you get plenty of them critical hits. My pickaxe has come in clutch time and time again, as it seems to be the most damage dealing will happen to be every time I craft one. Now a lot of the early game tutorial will have you focused on completing some of these all around your very first abeyance realm. As you'll see here, this is how I actually unlock the card for the antiquarian realms. And that effectively continues. All on this map you'll find very similar towers or areas you need to conquer. These will unlock the cards in their sequence of antiquarian, astrolabe, provisioner, herbarium, gloom, as well as hunt. So that's important to get across. You can absolutely do it this way, or you might find essence traders that maybe sell some of these cards, but I do believe tutorial makes you pretty much do the first one, and that's it. They're unlocked permanently and you can craft them anytime you want. What happens if you've got other players on your realm? Well, Kataria had completed this on her own, and so I didn't have to face off against any of the bounds coming down these steps, but obviously I did still have to face off against the boss. So it can be made a bit easier if someone's an eager beaver. But at any point if you need to activate anything, or you're doing a puzzle and you fail, then more bounds can spawn. You still get plenty of rewards. You'll get the essence that you'll come across in and around all of these towers. Whatever unlock you might acquire by completing the puzzle or getting to the end of it, but you won't necessarily get any loot that's found in the chests if one of your teammates in your realm has already gone looting. Okay, so next up we're in a forest realm, and this time we're going to go through one of the mini portals that you'll find in a cave or maybe a dungeon. Not all caves have these mini dungeons, only a select few, but it's definitely worth checking out any type of opening like this to see what it might lead to. Although to be honest, it should pop up on your map as well, telling you it is a Fey portal hiding within. These are great places to come for lots of different minerals and ores. You'll find them nestled together, especially sometimes higher level. And we found plenty of bound guarding the way, and you will have these in different stages or phases. Some will be at the top of the entrance, some will be midway, and then you might have another bunch of them at the very bottom. There is one loot that everyone would always get. It's these mini little chests. You'd always find usually a synchronous lotus inside, and that is what stays there for every player. So this is the first one I found, and Puck is obviously going to teach me a little bit there, but I skipped it. And we've got the portal there where we'll need to activate it now and then wait. Some bound will spawn and you'll have to defend against them, as you can see. And you saw there we unlocked the crude portal. Now that should unlock the very first time you pick up a synchronous lotus. Obviously you need them to craft your portals as well as your transmuters to play your minor cards, and possibly respawn points in terms of the fairy rings that you can acquire. And when you enter, you'll now be in a Bastille. Some of these are Bastille of agility, of might, of intellect. Sometimes you might have two nestled together. The larger vaults that you'll come across when you venture into the watch in the late game will have maybe 2 or 3 of them strung together. They'll be much larger, more complex, and have definitely tougher enemies, as well as that boss fight at the end. As you can see, I've got the Bastille of Insight popping up now as well, just giving us a breakdown of what we're expecting. So again, lots of bound will roam around here, as well as some wildlife, sometimes rats or other creatures. You often find wolves. It all just depends on the biome that you're in, and depending on what biome you're in, you may find other elemental factors. This swamp one has got a lot of the swamp water in it, and if it's deep enough, it will start giving you that negative effect, as well as obviously being in water as well. Pretty much taking away your life. So you've got to be careful about where you jump and not stepping too much into the murky depths. There's plenty of traps as well. Some of them take away your life, some of them will just make you slow down. You'll see the red markings on the floor, or blue little hovering squares or diamonds. The ones you find in the forest and the swamp are obviously going to be quite dark, but in the desert it's a different story. These can be much more bright and airy, especially when you get out into the actual sunlight itself. And you've got a nice mixed variety of creatures that you'll find in the biome, hopefully patrolling around, so maybe some easy kills for skin and hide. So a lot of these areas will rely on you either finding the runes scattered around or activating the plinths in certain order. I do believe the wisps of light are meant to kind of guide you to where you might find something that you need, but honestly they tend to have a mind of their own and you can actually kill them, but I didn't really get many resources when you do. Also, make sure you always go for the golden little chests. These are usually filled with ammo, especially elemental ammo. So anytime you can look at your map and it will tell you what Bastille it is. So if you really don't fancy doing like a defense one where you have to take on some waves of enemies, you can just exit out via your map back to your respite realm. At the end of these, there's also meant to be a portal that you can take home, but pretty much a lot of them that I went into didn't have that. So I always had to literally just go back to the map and go back to respite. You see, that's the rooms that you need to activate, 3 or 4 of them, sometimes more depending on the size of it, and there you go, you'll go and get your reward. So even on these mini dungeons, you normally find at least 1 or 2 of these Bastilles joined together, and in between you've got a rest point. So you can rest up, cook some food, there should be plenty of wood inside the chest in case you've forgotten, and bam, you can ready for the next one. But don't ever leave too early. At the very end of these Bastilles, you'll find a ton of essence. In fact, there's usually 1 or 2 or 3 portions of it, depending on what realm you've chosen, anywhere from say 15 to maybe 50 essence. And then you've always got a reward in here, usually a synchronous lotus too. So this is where you should have a portal taking you back. If you ever see these blue discs, these are not traps. You need to use a dispel spell on them, I do believe, and it should give you a little amount of essence as a reward. So that was a desert one. Obviously in the swamp, I've got one here where I'll have to face off against a whole bunch of bound. You kill the little group that will be there at the start, and then you'll usually have another plinth that you have to activate, or a laser that you'll have to defend against the bound destroying. And it's as simple as that. You will encounter more types of bound with this, some like the flamethrowers, or maybe the orbs bombs being thrown, or maybe even the brutes, which in my opinion are some of the toughest, alongside the big blade guys. And yeah, you won't get your final reward until you've killed all the bounds. Sometimes they can get stuck in the catacombs and hallways down below, so do make sure you go and look for them properly. And once they're all dead, collect your essence. And that was me pretty much done. Collected the big nice lot of them at the end, and I could get out of here. And then return into one of the more big towers that you'll come across, and they can be different various shapes and sizes. In the desert they will look more like ancient pyramid style ruins. Some will be like Bastilles with very sharp stone edges leading up to a roof with obviously the Transmuter minor card player at the top. And some will be like a massive dome where you would expect to find a huge telescope in. After dealing with the bound for this one at the bottom, it turns into a puzzle where we have to activate the different plinths. Here's some of the traps I was talking about. They obviously will do damage to you as you walk over them, and then you can see we've got various different points pinging them little blue lights that you have to do in order. Get it wrong and a wave of bound will spawn. So you're thinking, oh, maybe I could farm up some bound here and get loads of essence. The drop rates are pretty poor, to be honest. There's definitely quicker and easier ways just by running around the map and completing all the encounters rather than farming here. Now some of these are super simple with only 3 of these plimps that you need to activate. Some can go up to 7 that you'll have to keep track of. And obviously I got it wrong here, and that meant a wave of bound would spawn at the bottom. They make distinctive sounds as well, so you can kind of tell the first one that's going to go off, and that's really what you're meant to do. You're meant to hear for it to really check. Otherwise, just keep running around. Once they've all turned red at least once, then it will start up again in the next cycle. Particularly these types of ruins also can lead to labyrinths. You'll find like a maze of corridors with traps that you'll have to get through and work your way up to the top, so it's not always one of these puzzles. And once you're up top, you do then go ahead and get a chance to use this to change any of your miner cards or use them up. Obviously you can craft the transmuter machine yourself, and that will pretty much do whatever you want, if it's on your home realm, or take the ingredients with you to set up as soon as you step foot into a new one. And you will find other locations that you might find some of these transmuters around, not just on top of these towers. But you defeat the enemies here, and yeah, you can go ahead and use them. And that's the big difference, I guess, between the Fey Towers and the actual dungeons or some of the other more domed areas. The Fey Towers generally always lead to a transmuter. So if you haven't got the ingredients to craft one, or you just want to see how you get going, you might want to head to this first, complete it, and then change the realm to however you want. And of course you do get another good load of essence and maybe some other rewards too. That's the other thing as well, every time you collect one of these you have got a chance of getting a card or a decorative piece or augmentation too. And yeah, just to recap, I did cover these at the start. Obviously part of the tutorial, the first one that you encounter is the more sort of pyramid style looking one, and then you get these to unlock like the astrolabe card, and yeah, effectively clear all the enemies inside. And at the bottom you'll run into another one of the fabled knights, and hopefully clearing this will give you access to another major realm card, and you can unlock them in succession so that you can keep progressing to the next harder one. And there we go, that's pretty much it I think for early access in terms of what you'll be doing and encountering in terms of mini dungeons. Hopefully there'll be more and more added and get more variety, but that is the pretty much best rewards in terms of essence you'll get for the amount of time that you're going to put in. Do check out my longer video talking about the vaults particularly and how they're slightly different and harder, but otherwise I'll see you ratbags for more Nightingale content soon. Until next time, bye bye.